let's get individual stocks and sector-specific information and insight. Deven Choksey from DRChoksey joins in now. Deven, good morning. This morning, the sector of the day, which will be in focus, would be the metal space. As Nigel earlier pointed out as well, the steel stocks were anticipating this move. They had been outperforming. Now that this move has come, should we see better moves for this space, or maybe for now profit booking on the back of news that has come by already?
Yeah, good morning, Mangal. Well, I think 2 points which works in favor of the metal commodity as a whole and some of the ferrous companies in particular. You are likely to see the higher amount of offtake in the production, largely because of the fact that I think going forward, the construction activities which are going to happen post peace talks, I think materializing into the war affected areas. So globally, I think the outlook turns positive as far as I think this commodity is concerned. And on the other side, because of the fall in the crude oil prices, I think the energy cost remaining under control. So it's a profit picture which is emerging stronger. So as I see it, I think these two areas, when they, on one side you have got the top line going, on the other side I think the bottom line protection and growth, it's a sweet spot as far as I think this sector is concerned. And probably I think some of the steel stocks could show relatively better performance going forward. Maybe I think profit performance in the balance sheet of the company will come, I think, after a couple of quarters. But the market would start anticipating the higher amount of earning prospects for these companies. So yes, I think these companies could possibly even technically show some kind of signs of bounce back in the market. So could probably go up from current levels.
I just wonder how much of this would perhaps be in the price, because the street's been working with the expectations of this duty for a long time now. It was just a matter of when and not if. But let's see. Maybe a sentiment boost comes in today, nonetheless. Deven, hi, morning. So much action in the insurance space, right? Yesterday, that big deal where Bajaj is finally buying out Allianz. They're putting a lot of money to work, 24,000 crore rupees. And after market hours, LIC said that they could be interested in buying a standalone health insurer. So there's a lot going on. How would you recommend playing this space? Some names, some stocks, companies that you like, perhaps?
So, good morning, Sophie. I think we've been tracking this particular space ever since the private sector entered into in early 2000. And since then, I think we've been seeing the players and the strategies in particular. What we believe this game is, I think, of a balance sheet. And probably most of the companies, I think, which would be probably surviving and growing in this space would be having or carrying larger balance sheet. So certainly, I think the likes of LIC, I think, would remain a formidable player. Also because of the fact that I think the entire fabric is there in place as far as the life insurance and the policy holders' accounts with them is concerned. Cross-selling with the health insurance is certainly, I think, a given norm. Probably, I think you are likely to see a higher amount of participation in the business, I think, by LIC when they probably start running this particular business on their own with some acquisition as they're talking about. Similar could be the situation with the other companies, the alliance per se. I guess I think again that they may want to play a larger game, particularly in the non-life business, the general insurance business, and that's where probably the possibility of tie-up with players like Geo could be, I think, a very strong possibility going forward. So we remain distinctly optimistic about the prospect going forward, because in the next 10 years from now, as the size of the asset increases in the country with the GDP growing, probably I think you're likely to see the larger amount of participation in the players with a bigger balance sheet into this particular space. So certainly we see this as I think, a strong beginning happening, at least for next 10 years in the insurance segment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Deven, yesterday was a pretty smart day, right? I mean, advanced decline was 4:1, and I think makes sense to just quickly, in a minute, just tell you, just remind ourselves the kind of moves we saw in a lot of areas. So if you can just have these names up, Zomato, for example, by close was up 7-8%, high volume. And you look at sectors where there was action, right? It was the high beta capital markets, real estate, micro caps, small caps. I mean, that's the pack. Zomato up on your screen. Look at something like a Mastech, which was up, huge volumes. Look at a name like, Triveni Turbine, tremendous volumes on this one. You had, some bombed out names like Ola Electric, Sula, which came back very, very sharply. Policy Bazaar was a stock in focus yesterday, 7.5%. We had the management with us. Raymond, we speak with them today. Raymond was a big mover yesterday. Paytm, after a while, was a big mover. Wellspun Living, Apar Industries, Phenolix, I could go on, NetWeb, and all volume on the upside, nothing very much on the downside. And so, you know, at the margin, and near term, I mean, on a day-and-day basis, we'll see, but it just gives you a sense that maybe price-wise, we've seen the worst. You know, and we may see some dips, etc. But you know that 21,964, I think, was the low which was made. Maybe we don't have to see that again. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But Deven, the other thing is we had the City Economist this morning, right, saying that starting the 2nd of April, you know, the tariffs will come back into focus in a more meaty, structural way. That's a big event, even if you're trading. It's 10 days from now, 10 trading sessions from now, right? And going into it, unless we get some clear indications of how they want to play it before the 2nd of April, if it is going to be on the 2nd of April, it's a kind of binary event. And markets will, you know, want to be cautious going into it. Just your quick thoughts, texture, and it's a bigger question, really, not about this stock or that stock, because if the market turns south again, you know, even the good stories get sold. Deven.
Yes, Prashant, absolutely. I think the panic selling probably is over. It is behind us, I think, as we also discussed last week. And I believe that, I think, given that situation, even the technical correction in the market is overdue because market has been oversold. So it is playing out now. On that front, I think there is no doubt. And I think number of companies which are participating to the momentum-driven upside is not very surprising to me, because I think the traders have made money in these companies in the past. So they will continue to, I think, operate with that faith in this particular momentum business. The more important point is the certainty and uncertainty pertaining to the tariff mechanism, which is expected to play out. All we understand out here is that I think they are going to calibrate this entire approach, because having seen the shocks of earlier announcement and resistance coming in from their own country, probably USA is likely to calibrate the approach on the tariff front, not likely to implement it in the way they spelled it out. So that gives some amount of clarity to the market participants. And should that happen, maybe I think we are likely to see the relatively calmer market, relatively, I think, stable market, and the uncertainty factor may remain relatively less as compared to what it was in earlier months.
What do you make of the, you know, auto space now? Because yesterday we saw a bit of an up move, some recovery, but now with the news of 12%, you know, imposition of safeguard duty, some of their raw materials, you know, increase. How do you see this? Do you think it's in the price, or maybe, you know, we might see a bit of a profit booking after some bit of an up move yesterday?
So up move has just started, Mangalam, and I don't think that, I think, it is going to cool down immediately. The price correction has been extremely sharp in some of the cases like Tata Motors. So it is due for recovery for sure, I think, at this point of time. The business per se, I think, remains quite stable in my view. For duty and whatever revision in the duty which may take place, the companies have the capability to handle this particular subject, as I understand. But more importantly, I think the discretionary power in the hands of consumer and higher amount of demand prospects in financial year 25-26 for the OEMs, I think they are likely to see the better times going forward. And companies like Tata Motor in particular would have relatively more better time because of the restructuring process, I think, getting implemented or demerging the commercial vehicle business out of the main business. So certainly, I think we are likely to see the higher amount of activity participation. And I think this current price correction is giving an opportunity for those investors who are left out.